Who joins my game? Who joins the game? Why'd you join this game? What's going on? Howdy. Don't be bigoted. Okay, sure. Okay. The Paladin. What would I start off as if I were a solo player Paladin? And I wanted to get out into endgame content quickly? Where would I start? What do I think is the easiest start? Zeal, Holy Freeze. I think it's the easiest start, at least up into Hell, because Holy Freeze has a synergy with Blessed Aim. I think the Paladin is going to have an okay time of stacking attack rating. And if you're in a solo playthrough, I think going Zeal with Holy Freeze is going to be your best bet. Until you're into Hell, where it's still going to perform well, you're going to have to try harder. But I think that at that point, you should go Holy Bolt or Blessed Hammer. You can stay Holy Bolt, which means that you can do all of the content in the game. You can go Blessed Hammer, which means you could do all of the content in the game, but you're going to have to play harder than Holy Bolt. Holy Bolt gets a free aura, since nothing increases Holy Bolt damage. So you could just run Salvation and be basically unkillable. You can swap over to Conviction for Fist of Heavens. Once you have the money for it, building an Uber Smiter or an Uber Zealer is a great way to go. I would go Physical Zealer.
Good day.
And then once you have like the money, going into Dragondin or a Dream Paladin or a Dream Dragodin, the Omnidin hybrid that BT showcased in Season 2, that's still just as strong as it was before. It's still going to do very well. Unless somebody comes out with like a ridiculous... I think it would be easier to become an Omnidin than it is to become a good Vengeance Paladin. And I would wait later into the season until somebody showcases a really strong Vengeance Paladin before I would go for this as a starter. Smite absolutely has a place. Smite has a place in Ubers. Druid. Full Fire on a Druid is without a doubt the best starter. It is a caster class that has high mobile damage and doesn't need to rely on faster cast rate. It can just focus on plus to skills. Now, once you have faster cast rate, I think transitioning into Wind is your best bet. Then let's look at the other builds, right? So a Summoner is fine. A Summoner can do most content. A Summoner is very slow, requires a lot of auras, and then ultimately falls short, but is very safe. All of the shape-shifting builds are good. They are very targeted and require good gear. So if there's one thing that we found out from testing Fury and Maul, is that stacking attack rating without using at least 2-piece Angelics was very difficult in the early game. So I would recommend going Rabies in target farming cows, if I were to choose anything. Rabies is very, very strong for target farming cows. And since the vanilla changes for player setting are different than the map settings, it's something that can get a lot of economy early and then transition into maps once you have a bunch of cow maps. What is my recommendation for an assassin starter? Phoenix Strike. Phoenix Strike is like absolutely what I think the starter way to go is. It's just really strong. You get to run good stats. It's just really, really strong. If you're not going to go that way, I would go Lightning Traps. And then in the end game, I would go Fire Traps with Death Sentry. Yes, you can go Lightning Traps with Death Sentry. I say go Fire Traps with Death Sentry. If you really want to, go Psychic Hammer or Mind Blast. They are powerful. They'll get you there. I think it's slower than just going Phoenix Strike. If you get into like the late game and you still want to be martial arts, I would swap over to Cobra Strike. Cobra Strike can do declone, Phoenix Strike can't. And then if you want to get really wild, go Hybrid Kixin Light Traps with elemental lightning damage charms with Dual Dream and Crescent Moon. That's the secret sick build. Blade Fury? Blade Fury isn't a build for anything other than declone in my opinion. Barbarian. I think the best starter build for Barbarian is Double Throw. Double Throw is the best starter build for Barbarian by like a long shot. And then you can go any other Barbarian build. They are all viable. I think that Warcries is the safest build. Berserk is good. Whirlwind is good. Leap Attack is good. Frenzy Double Swing is good. Double Throw is good. They are all good. Double Swing and Frenzy with the attack rating nerfs feel a lot worse, so you're going to need better gear to get away with running these than you will need for Double Throw. If you are going to be playing the Amazon on any build, I recommend starting off with Power Strike until you can't do it anymore, or until you find the weapon base that would enable you to go into a different build. If you want to stop being a Power Strike Amazon, and you have not found any gear with the same base javelins, you can be a Plague Javazon. You want to be a Lightning Fury Amazon. Lightning Fury is very good in Season 3. It will perform. It will do well. You need to have plus gear, plus skills gear, and some attack speed. Bare minimum. If you want to be a Boazon, and you want to be an Elemental Boazon, you at the very least need a bow with increased attack speed and good attack rating, and Pierce, so at least Razor Tail with max Pierce. Because for your attack to pierce an enemy, it has to successfully hit. And you want your elemental arrows to pierce because they trigger their explosions on every time they successfully hit. So it will hit the first one, it will explode upon contact. To pierce, it has to successfully hit. And then once it pierces to the next monster, it will explode again. If you want to be a physical Boazon, you bare minimum need a good crafted bow that has enhanced damage and attack speed. Just about any unique, exceptional, and above bow or crossbow. And I would say bare minimum for it to feel good transferring into it would be a Bariza. For the physical Javazon, you need attack speed, and you need damage, and you need attack rating. Now, luckily, you get a decent amount from Penetrate, which will help a lot, but for your damage to feel good, you're going to need a decent amount of damage on weapon, and I'd say that's bare minimum the new starter Javelin, the new True Silver Maiden Javelin. If you get that, you can go into physical Javazon, you can go into Lightning Fury, because your attack speed is actually decent enough, or you could go into Plague Javazon on any of them, with that unique alone. I would recommend going Plague Javazon and farming cows until you have a lot of charms or currency. Then I would recommend Lightning Fury, because I think Lightning Fury is going to be really nice this season. If you want to be able to do hybrid damage, you can go Plague Javazon and Jab Fend. You can actually do that really well, and in Season 3, it's actually better than it was in Season 2. And if you want to go Boazon, get really good at crafting gear, like really intimate yourself with crafting hit power gear, unless you get one of the really big unique bow options. Sorceress! Build whatever you want, they're all good. Good day. No, okay, so actual recommendation for Sorceress starting Sorceress. What is the best starter? Fireball. Why Fireball? Why is Fireball the best starter? Leaf Staff now says +3 to fire skills, cold resist, and faster cast rate. Fireball into Meteor, I think, is going to be the easiest to get to a high power level. Also, getting +3 O skills on a staff on Fireball early is very easy. I got a +2 Sorceress, 3 to Cold Mastery, 3 to Blizzard, 3 to Ice Blast, Orb. How can you say that Leaf is... Well, yeah, of course, if you get an awesome alternative element Orb, yeah, run that thing. Absolutely. Fucking respec right there. You asked me what's the best starter? And what's going to carry you the furthest for a Ral in a tier rune? Fireball, Meteor, Leaf Staff, Sorceress. Where should you go is very dependent on what you want to do. If you want to run Ubers early, now that they have had their elemental resistances reduced, I would recommend Hydra. If you want to start clearing early maps, I would recommend Fireball Combustion. If you want to be killing bosses, or if you want to start clearing a lot of vanilla content and then be able to transition into maps, Frost Nova or Blizzard. Frozen Orb is okay, I just don't like Frozen Orb. Frost Nova, Blizzard. Blizzard is safer, Frost Nova is a bit more aggressive. If you're looking to do key farming vanilla content, and then once you have really good gear getting into maps, Nova Thunderstorm. Okay? They all have their different benefits. Blizzard, I think, is the strongest build right now. Yeah, if you want to be an enchant bow sork, that's still a thing. If you want to be an enchant bear sork, that's still a thing. I think that cold builds are stronger. They also require more gear and more expensive gear to hit their max loadout. Fire and lightning gets Ishudas, which is just, it's very common and very powerful compared to stuff that you need for cold. And the other thing, so here's something that's really important. What mercenary do you run before you have your infinity? And the answer is now, in my opinion, an Act 3 mercenary of an opposing strong element. For fire, if you are a fire sork, go get a cold Act 3 mercenary. If you are a cold sork, go get a fire Act 3 mercenary. If you're a lightning sork, probably get an Act 3 lightning sorcerer, Act 3 mercenary. They're going to cast static for you, and you're going to cast static. You're actually just going to buff each other's damage. So most of the time, somebody's going to have static up. I think for lightning, you go Act 3 lightning, because you're going to be tele-stomping, and that's going to put your mercenary right next to people. And if he's right next to people, he's more likely to do static. So Bone is by far the best starter. One of its strongest points, one of its strongest points is that you can just transition into end game, but you don't need to respec. Is Bone the best end game build? Not by a long shot. But you can go Bone and stay Bone forever. You can stay Bone forever. You never need to change off of Bone. Poison is very strong. Poison requires very expensive gear to hit its max potential. Poison is a lot like the Cold Sorceress. It requires incredibly expensive gear to hit its max potential. Summons for the Necro are not just like a sleeper AFK style of gameplay. It's not quite Fishymancer, because again, Corpse Explosion isn't great. But if you want to transition into maps, you can stay on Poison and Bone, or you can stay on Bone. You can go summon with Revives and Golems, or Skellies and Revives, or Skellies, Revives, and some Golems of pure Curse. Curses just got buffed a bit. Curse is very strong. It's a very high APM build, but it's very strong. If you go Clay Golem Revives and you go amp damage, go do your Ubers. You can do Ubers with that. Make sure to pick up Desecrate so that you can summon bodies to summon more Revives when they die. So people were talking about an 8-player comp. What does an 8-player comp look like? The best 8-player comp is a Curse Necro, Bow Barb, 3 Sorceresses, Amazon, Conviction, well, Salvation Paladin. Probably a Druid. That'd be my 8-person team comp. Yeah, you could take out 1 Sorceress for 1 Paladin.